Good evening on this fine, lovely evening. This is the Pursuit of Anime. Raven and Teddy here to talk some more anime and philosophy with you. A little bit of a late night talk, and we're just continuing last week's segment, where we went over my kind of philosophy on love. Um, this is the week that we go into Teddy's philosophy on love. So, the title, of course, is Love as an Inherent Feeling. Now, I guess kind of just to kick things right off, Teddy, what what do you mean by that? What do you mean by love as an inherent feeling?
Well, basically, the way I look at it is I try to approach it from the same lens that you would approach anything, any of the other feelings that people experience. Like if you ask somebody, what does it mean to be happy? They will describe to you that feeling in particular, right? Or at
Yeah,
least they'll try their best. Same thing with sadness, anger, whatever. Whenever it comes to the topic of love and you ask people to describe it, usually what people fall back on is what they do as a result of love, right? Their behavior or their perception of whatever it is that they're in love with, whether it's a person, a hobby, something, anything, a pet, you
yeah,
name it. They'll never explain to you what that feeling itself is, right? And I've had this conversation with other people in the past where they've said that, no, I don't think that it is a feeling that you can describe because it's different for everybody. And I keep running into this roadblock when I talk to other people about this because I tell them, listen, it's the same way that happiness is different for everybody, is the same way that love is different for everybody. You express it differently, but the feeling itself is very familiar because the way I see it, right, is that it's an initial feeling that leads you to behave a certain way and to take certain actions, right? But the feeling itself needs to be there. And that's what I mean when I say love as an inherent feeling, because it's like that seed needs to be planted first before you talk about the repercussions of expressing that feeling, right?
yeah.
And that's been my quest in my journey of understanding what love is trying to pinpoint and describe that emotion as best as I can. So
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you bring in like other people's kind of definition or views on love. I know that when researching this topic, I I'm sure like anybody else that has researched this before finds this kind of general answer as to what love is, right? If you search up love, the definition of love or define love on Google, you're going to see love is a deep feeling of affection for something, right, Teddy?
yeah.
Do you kind of agree with that definition that love is just like it's just a deep affection for something? It's just when you like something that much, or do you think that kind of conflicts with the way that you view love?
Mm.
Or is it just maybe just a piece of the puzzle and there's something missing from there?
So you're talking in terms of like when you have say a passion.
Yeah, I guess that's the problem with the definition, right? Like a lot of people
Yeah.
just slap the definition of, well, love is just a very deep affection for something, right?
Hmm.
So then where like the line then kind of starts to blur, right? Like the gradient starts to almost become just one thing because, well, what's to stop like me from just loving everything then? Because I you can get a deep affection for anything, right, Teddy? So like
Yeah.
what how do you kind of view that?
See, that's the problem. That's where I try to uh I try to differentiate because like you said, you can have a deep uh emotional connection with many things in life, right? It's not even just a person. It can be sometimes even an object or a hobby and activities. Like
Yeah.
it could be anything. The problem is like, do you have that? deep affection as a result of who you are as a person or the things that you value? Or is it something about the object of your affection that makes you feel that way? Because if it's the latter, then you can liken it to love, right?
Yeah.
Because the way I describe it is, I kind of went into it a little bit before, but basically it's like when something or someone just in their existence appeals to you. Remember last time we talked about um, your passion for music, even though it's not something that comes to you as naturally as boxing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So something like that, right? It's like, because mind you, it probably was a struggle, a challenge trying to learn everything that you've learned about music, how to create music. It's a really frustrating and grueling process. But because you love music, you stuck with it, right? And that's what I mean when I say it's something about that that just makes you stay there, that makes you attracted to it. It's not even something that you can really explain. It's just that whatever that entity is, something inherently about you
Mm.
appeals, like attracts you to it, right?
Yeah.
So, because
It's as
that's that,
simple as that.
yeah, exactly, right? But that's the problem because I feel like a lot of the time, people don't always take the time to really break it down and understand, okay, why do I feel the way that I do? Because the best way that I can explain it is if you work um in the business of serving people, whether it's a restaurant or whatever, and you know that those kinds of careers, those kinds of jobs, usually you're in contact with a lot of people, both fellow employees and customers a lot of the time. So because of that, you're able to make the distinction between people that you get along with just because that's the nature of the environment you're in versus people that you just like them
Yeah.
for who they are. Sometimes it's a result of multiple interactions you've had in the past. Because mind you, it's not always instantaneous, like, oh, I see this person right away. Okay, like I just like them for whatever reason. Sometimes it develops over time throughout different interactions. Because I've experienced both.
You can
Where
uncover it.
exactly, right? Because a lot of people they keep to themselves a lot. They have multiple layers and shells that they put up, like multiple walls that they put up because either they're antisocial or they prefer keeping to themselves. So you don't always get to see the true person, but then once you start to interact with them, break down those walls, and you realize, oh wait, this is my kinfolk right here. We actually get along,
Yeah.
things like that. But other times it's just instantaneous where you don't even need to say a word to each other. I don't know if this has ever happened to you. It's happened to me before where I just look at somebody and we just have that mutual understanding that, yeah, I mess with you. And it doesn't even need to be a further interaction. It's just like in passing, we see each other like, yeah, you right there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an appeal. I think that's a very interesting way you put it. Like it's just an appeal. Like I've definitely experienced that before where like I'll see someone, like for example, just recently I saw this person on the street and I don't know what it was about them, but they just appealed to me very much, you know?
Hmm.
And then I started talking to them and it was like it's just like clicked, everything just clicked. And that's just the way that it is sometimes, I guess with love and just with anything, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a very interesting way of putting it. Sometimes it can be instantaneous. Some people call it love at first sight, you know? And there's
Yeah.
others that like, it takes time to uncover, you know? It you can almost liken it to like food preferences.
Yeah.
I don't know why I like um vodka sauce. It's like penne alla vodka. I don't know
Hmm.
why I like it, but I just like it, you know? I don't
I
know
mean,
why
if we're
I
being
hate
honest, that's just
ketchup.
having good taste, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah,
You don't like peanut butter? I don't know who you are, man. I'm
yeah.
playing. But yeah,
But
I
there's
get you
certain
though.
things I don't like for example, ketchup. Everybody loves ketchup, I don't like ketchup. I don't know why I don't like it. I just don't like it. It is what it is, and that's kind of how love is sometimes, where I feel like you're starting to say it's an inherent feeling, right?
Yeah.
And it's just something that's there in you. It's just something that's it's almost would you say it's almost embedded into your DNA? It's a part of just who you are naturally?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think so because I've and again, right, it's something that you come to understand the more you get out there and interact with people. Because if you remain in a small bubble that just reinforces your personal beliefs and preferences, you're not going to be able to comprehend how other people can
Mhm.
have different appeals, right?
Yeah.
And for instance, where I work, I know some people who don't like tomatoes, for example, or avocado. And I look at them sideways. I'm like, why do you work in a restaurant? If like, I feel like those are two very basic ingredients that most people would like, right? But then working there, I expanded my horizons a bit, and I came to understand, like, I get it. I can see how there are certain aspects of these foods that some people wouldn't like.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that like you said, it can't necessarily be uh explained clearly, but you can at least recognize it, right? You can pinpoint it, and then once you do, it's like, oh, so that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
And to take it to a field that makes more sense to most people, talking about relationships. I
Mm.
have been attracted to women in the past that
You don't say?
wouldn't necessarily match my what I'm typically attracted to on paper,
Yeah.
right? I think all of us, whether it be because of vanity or being superficial, you can chalk it up to whatever you want. Most of us have a list of what we look for in our partner, from their personalities, the characteristics, to their physical traits, physical attributes.
Oh, I have a long
And,
list.
and well, I tell you, it's a laundry list. It's exhaustive. But sometimes you meet somebody who their energy matches yours and you just get along, even though technically on paper you wouldn't even glance in their direction if y'all just happen to cross, each other. But it's like, because I'm getting to know you and interact with you, I'm kind of starting to like you, and I don't know what to make of it, right?
Yeah.
And but when you understand that it can happen, you're able to embrace the process a lot more easily, right? It's like I've seen people sabotage their own blessings just because they couldn't reconcile the disparity between what they find themselves attracted to versus what they believe they are normally attracted to. Right.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because you miss out on your blessings like that. Like, who knows, you can have a really flourishing relationship with someone, connection with someone, but because you are so stubborn and set in your ways of, no, that isn't what I'm normally attracted to, you just let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Now I kind of want to get to this. Of course, we are the pursuit of anime, and of course, anime is always gonna come up into the conversation somehow. I think that this is a question that kind of is very telling as to how you would look at Love Teddy in anime. What do you think is the biggest show of love you've ever, or the strongest show of love you've ever seen depicted in anime?
That's pretty easy, man. Um, it it's actually very easy. Uh, I've seen it twice, And the second time has been more recent with the latest chapters of One Piece. But uh the other one is Ram from Re:Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to me that will remain one of the most powerful displays of love I've ever seen in any work of fiction, not just anime in general, because it's it's the kind of idealistic love that you wish you could have in real life, but because of the constraints of the reality of the world we live in, it's just kind of unrealistic to l- hope for that kind of love to exist, right? Because do you remember? I believe it was season one, episode 18 or 19, one of those two, where the main character Subaru, he had been through his fair share of trials and tribulations. And mind you, just for the people who don't know about this story, just a quick synopsis: the MC, the main character of the story, is somebody who goes into a he finds his way into another universe, another world,
Yeah.
where his ability is to come back from death. So he gets the honor and the privilege of dying very gruesome deaths and spawning back to life. And mind you, every time that he comes back to life, he remembers the physical and mental trauma of those deaths. So by that point in the story, he'd already experienced a lot and a lot of failure. And so he found himself in a place where he was ready to give up everything and run away, essentially. And this girl, Rem, the one that I'm talking about, she could have been selfish because he proposed to her to run away together. And there is nothing more in this world that she would have wanted. But she realizes that is not what was best for him, for his own person. That was not what he truly wanted. And she would rather give up on her own dream for the sake of what he wants. And not only that, right? This is just the beginning. Where it really got me was when she said that he will never hit rock bottom because no matter how bad he believes his situation to be, she will always be there between him and rock bottom to make sure he does. I'm like, bro, I can't, like, just telling you right now, I'm getting chills again because this is the kind of love where it, like, s- I wish there was a more powerful word to describe this, because this is not just like regular love. This is different. This is, I'm basically your guardian angel on this earth. This is what that is.
Yeah.
Have you ever had anyone, and I mean anyone in your life, tell you, hey, listen, man, don't worry about nothing. Like, if even if the entire world is against you, I'll be in your corner no matter what. You ever had that? Because I haven't.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. Everybody, people say that all the time, and then 2 seconds later, I mean, they're the first ones to run. I mean, they're about as useful
And
as
that's what I mean.
about as
Exactly.
you, yeah. I mean, they're about as useful as a pulled pork sandwich to a freaking Muslim. Like, absolutely useless. So I mean, bro, like, it's just like, you know what I'm
Oh
saying.
man, hey, I've missed this, man. You're back. I've missed those analogies,
Uh,
man. Goodness, that's
yeah, but
hilarious. But yes.
do you think, Teddy? Now that you're talking about kind of this strength of love, like, do you think that everybody on the planet, yeah, throughout their lifetime, they'll experience that strength of love at least once? Like, I know you said you haven't yet, right? You haven't had that somebody like kind of display that type of love towards you. Do you think that you will experience that one day? And do you think that everybody, just kind of generally, overall, will experience that at least once?
That's a very good question. Um, I want to say you know, never say never, right? But the reason why I'm leaning more towards no is because is because it's a very simple reason.
Yeah.
Um, what I just described to you is a fictional world, right? Where the circumstances allow for someone to be able to put themselves in that position for someone else.
Yeah.
Ram doesn't have any other responsibilities in her life. She, I mean, she had something going for her, but it wasn't serious enough to tie her down to where she was, and she was able to leave to follow Subaru on his adventures. In fact, her mission became supporting him through his adventures and through his trials and tribulations. So for her, it kind of makes sense to be that way. But in the real world, everybody has not only just responsibilities, they have their own other relationships with, friends, family, work, whatever have you. They have obligations, right? They have different aspects of life that tie them down in ways where it's almost impossible to hope that they would have that kind of love available for anyone, because life can pull you in any directions at any point in time.
Yeah.
Because let's say you find yourself in a situation where your your girlfriend, for example, is, she needs to be admitted to the hospital. But then your work tells you that they need you over there because there is an emergency and you absolutely need to be there. And if you're not there, you're not gonna be able to keep your job.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
mind you, if you keep your job, you'll be able to pay for the medical expenses for your girlfriend, but you can't be there for her physically or emotionally. Or you can only be there in thought and prayers, like, please be okay. But I can't be there right now because I need to do this for your sake. Like, you see how twisted life gets sometimes, where you're doing something for the sake of somebody else, but they can't perceive it that way because it doesn't feel that way because you're not there physically for them. It's like, I'm over here doing this for you, but you can't really see it. You only, you know, feel the benefits of it later on, not right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, even just something basic like the different ways that people express their love, right? You have relationships sometimes that crumble because each partner has a different way of expressing their love and they're not able to understand one another. They're not able to understand, oh, this is how that person expresses their love to me, and this is how this person does it, right? So just of the strength of that reality alone, it's impossible for me to say, oh, in this lifetime, yeah, I feel like I can't say convincingly for sure, oh yeah, this is definitely gonna happen,
Yeah.
because it's just the reality of this world. You can only give so much of yourself, especially in this current economy. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Well, I
it's
mean,
rough.
that kind of brings the question to my mind now, Teddy. Like, if you haven't experienced that love, or if you haven't experienced love as you define it, yeah,
Yeah.
have you lived the full life? So, are you able to live a full life without love? Do you think that's possible?
Well, okay, so so there's two things there, right? Because um it's it's not I don't think you can say you've experienced a full life if you haven't experienced love, because it's just part of the human experience. And if you don't have that, I mean, you're missing something, right?
Yeah.
But now to say the kind of love we're talking about, like Ram, that's just like, again, I don't know that it's something that you can even aspire uh, uh, to obtain or to look for, because it's extremely idealistic. right?
Would you
And
compare it to the love of a parent?
mm, uh yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, sorry to bombard you mid
No, no, you're
question.
good. You're good. No, no, no. I mean, that's the purpose of these whole conversations is to explore everything. I'm thinking
Yeah, that's the hard
it's
hitting question. Because
stimulating my mind.
the way I look at it is this, Teddy, right? Like Rem is saying, and your idea of the strongest showing of love that you've seen in an anime, right?
Hmm.
One of your favorite mediums is that Rem is saying, listen, if you hit rock bottom, you're like, there's no if. You're not gonna hit rock bottom because I'm gonna be between you and rock bottom. You know,
Hmm.
it kind of sounds like something that a parent would tell their child. You know, like a lot
Yeah.
of parents will tell you, like, look, it doesn't matter even if the world is, and you've seen it. That
Hmm.
you've seen like criminals, their moms and their pops. Like it doesn't matter if they've even like murdered thousands of people.
Yeah,
You know,
like
the
that's my
parents.
child.
That's my
Yeah.
child. He didn't do anything wrong. There must be something that the government did to make him do this or that or here or there. It was, you know, so that's that unconditional love
Hmm.
that will always have their back, even if they're in the wrong.
That's a good point you mentioned that. I didn't even think of that, even though it's like pretty obvious. Yes, I guess a parent's love would be like that. And that's assuming that they're not like they're truly showing you like the kind of parental love and affection you're describing here. Because sometimes it's more so that they have a plan for how they want your life to be and they don't want you to deviate from that plan. So that's why
Yeah.
they behave the way they do, or they show certain amount of love and affection. But yeah, in the case that you presented, yeah, I guess you could then. Hmm, I was just thinking strictly in terms of romantic relationships, but if you really broaden the spectrum here, I guess you can experience that from your parents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's strange. Yeah, it is kind of strange. Cause then like then most of us have experienced that kind of love already, you know?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
But the thing is, you know, you go through that phase where you're like, man, my parents, screw my parents, man. They don't know anything. I know everything and they know nothing. You know, that we tend to take our parents' love for granted. And then again, there's some parents that, I mean, let's face it, they're not the best parents. Let's just say that.
Mhm.
You hear about them on the news all the time. So
Yeah.
it's like you were saying before too. It's a case by case basis. Life is not linear. It's something that we each experience individually. And I guess love is that way too. Would you say so?
Yeah.
Something that we
Yeah.
all had to experience individually. And now I think you were alluding to like not just ReZero, but something in One Piece. What was that show of love that you were talking about in One Piece?
That's why I'm realizing how dumb it was for me to forget is because it's parental love. The one in One Piece. Because, shout out to Saint Kuma. This
Oh, thank
man
God.
is raising a daughter that is not even his, bro. He's sacrificing himself for her sake. It is so powerful. It's so beautiful. This man said he would make a deal with the devil himself if he meant curing his daughter of that deadly disease that she got.
Oh my God.
You understand? Like it's a different type of love, right? So parental love for sure. Like I can't believe I literally mentioned that and then I forget. Yeah. Um
Bro,
yeah,
I'm not gonna
that's so
lie.
good.
I read that chapter this morning and I was like mid chapter, I was like, yo, I'm about to call Teddy or something. But then it was early as hell, so I was like, no. But I was like, my thought was like, look, this chapter is literally why I love One Piece. This is it.
I
This
have
is
to
exactly this is
yeah,
one of
go.
my favorite chapters I've read in since probably Whole Cake Island.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It felt good. It felt good. I mean, I feel like all of this recent arc, he's been getting back into his pre-time skip bag, man. The man he has been putting overtime in that kitchen. He has not left since Wano. Like he's in
Yeah,
there. Um, yeah. This, like you said, this chapter. Oh my! You know, I told you this. One of the reasons, and I was speaking with my girlfriend about this the other day. It's like this, man. I feel like the medium of anime and
yeah,
manga in general can make you feel very powerful emotions if you're able to submerge yourself into the experience, right?
yeah,
And One Piece is one of those stories that has made me experience really, really strong emotions throughout the years. And this latest chapter, dude, listen, I woke up because they usually come out on Wednesdays, but this
yeah,
one came out a little bit later than usual. I woke up this morning. The first thing I did, let me read this chapter. Like I hadn't done nothing else. I just woke up. Where's the chapter at? So it was out. Started reading it. The letters. Do you remember what happened with the letters?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting ripped up.
Oh my. Mm. When I read that, I was like, oh God. Oh God. I've never wanted to be a 2D character so bad just so I could clock you one time. Just one. I just need
Yeah. Oh my
one good
god.
punch. That just made me feel some type of way because you know that this man Kuma is suffering because he wants to be with his daughter, but he can't. And his only way of being in touch with her is, like, can you imagine, just from Bonnie's perspective too, where she's expecting those letters and she thinks, oh, my daddy must have forgotten about me because he told me he was going to send his letters, and she never got them. And what's crazy now is everything that we're seeing now. Bonnie saw it because she went into the memory bubble, like Kuma's memory bubble. So she's experiencing everything at once. Can you imagine like getting flooded by all of these memories at once?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a
And
lot,
you
man.
know what the beautiful thing about One Piece is?
Mm,
Real quick, like they did this with Al Capone. They did this with a lot of the like, and this is a reoccurring thing that keeps happening in One Piece, right? You
yeah.
see a character and you don't think much of them. Like with the design, the power, you're like, bro, this character is trash.
Yes.
Absolute like with Capone, I thought, dude, this dude is a moron. Who the hell wants to see that? Like, you couldn't pay me $1 million to read a chapter of this fool. And
Damn, that's pretty harsh.
by the end of Whole Cake Island, I'm like, bro, this is one of my favorite characters right here.
Top 10.
You know, Big Daddy, top 10, bro. Do you remember
Hey.
the big father, the Big Daddy
Yeah,
move? Bro,
yeah.
that I was hyped. I was like, yo, this dude is a beast. I was like, God dang.
No, this something that I would never question Oda's pen about is his ability to write characters that at first you just have no love for whatsoever, and when he's done cooking, you're like, how did I ever dislike this character?
Yeah, and it's the same thing I'm experiencing with Bonnie now, where like for
Oh
so many
yeah,
years, everybody was like, "Yeah, what the hell? Well, like, how is Bonnie even a supernova? She is trash. What? She can change her age? Are you freaking kidding? And she eats pizza? Like, bruh, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Her design
yeah.
is everything is trash about her. Now it's like, bro,
Even
when
her name,
her
Jewelry
name,
Bunny, is a reference to the sickness that she had because her father found a way to spin a negative into a positive, something beautiful that she could be proud of. Like, come on, dog. Like,
yeah,
Oda, what are you doing to me right now?
and it
Like,
was
it's
like
different.
and it was like this. It was like thinking like, man, this girl is garbage. Nobody wants to see her. Who the hell even cares about her. Just kill her off or something already, right?
Yes.
When Blackbeard was stepping on her on that island, I was like, yeah, step on her. She's trash. She deserves to be stepped on. But now, bro, at the end of this chapter, when they did the narration of like, and that's when Bonnie went out to sea in search of her father.
Ah,
I was like, bro, I'm hyped. I want to see a
I,
Bonnie spinoff. Like
oh,
you know.
dude, that's what I'm saying. Like I told you when I was reading the chapter, I was laying down and gradually I started sitting up because I was like, yo, what's happening right now? And then the way Luffy looked in this chapter too, I'm like, hey, let's go. Like it's nice to see that perspective too, because I feel
Yeah,
like we didn't see much of his growing up. He went from being a complete beginner with how he uses their food to all of a sudden being able to punch out in just one punch the Lord of the Coast. So it's like it was nice to see the progression a little bit. But
yeah,
um no, this chapter was I mean all of Egghead has been absolutely amazing, man. Like and this is another thing too.
yeah,
You know how we're talking about love, right?
yeah,
And I feel like if there's one story that shows you the lengths that people are willing to go to for the people that they cherish and love, it's One Piece, bro.
yeah.
Even just recently with Garp when he went out to save Kobe, this man ended up with an ice pick through his chest, laughing because like, hey man, my life don't matter as long as you're safe. Like the amount of selflessness in that mindset is amazing to me. When you're like, my life, listen, if I can give away my life for yours, I will in a heartbeat. I don't know how many people that can do that. I can't do that.
Yeah,
I don't think I can do that because I have really strong self-preservation skills. Like it will, but then again, it's like we say that now, but sometimes when you're in the moment, you might act a little bit differently. But rationally speaking, right now, I can't tell you, oh yeah, I throw myself on the train tracks if it means somebody else, it means somebody else's survival, you know?
yeah,
And you were talking about, Oda's ability to write characters and bring them up from bottom of the barrel to absolute peak. And I feel like Bon Clay is a perfect example of that. I mean, mind you, when he first got introduced, I was like, oh, he's cool. He's not that bad. Like he's just kind of funny, silly, but I don't think we're gonna see much from him.
yeah.
And we like Impel Down, everything that he did, and then at the very end, oh my goodness, just
Even then, this is a character that a lot of people forget about that this happened to. I think it's because she's so liked, she's so beloved that people forget her very humble beginnings. But Vivi,
oh
like,
yes,
dude, those first few episodes where she was like a quote unquote villain, you were like, bro, who is this fool with this freaking swirls on her all around her chest? Like, she looks like a moron. And then not even 2 episodes later, she's part of the crew. She's like on Chopper's Island. She's like bantering with Nami, and that's one of the beautiful things, dynamics that she brought to the crew. Where like Nami and Robin, they're very like they're just very cool. They're very always nice to each other, very cordial. With Vivi and Nami, they were like the girls that were bantering. They really felt like sisters. You know what I'm saying?
oh absolutely. The connection was strong
It
between those
was
two.
yeah. It was like it just like it was just really really cool. Like it was like Luffy and Zoro kind of thing.
Actually, I'd say
Um,
more like Luffy and Usopp.
yeah, maybe like Luffy and Usopp, like they were like kindred spirits. They were very kind of cut from the same cloth,
Yeah.
personality wise. So they would bicker amongst each other. It would be funny. So it was a really good dynamic, man. And there's so many. You can even see it in One Piece, man. Love, like you're saying, just seems to be um something that shows strongly in the characters. I feel like it's because One Piece is it's a story that captures very well like the essence of human nature. And I think love is at the essence of human nature. Would you kind of agree with that, Teddy? That love is kind of inherent in us humans, like it's something that we all kind of have the capacity for, or would you say it's something else?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think so. I think the people that say that they're unable to love other people, I think it's more so like they're maybe scared of exploring that because, you know, there's something to be said about the nature of love where it's very, once you experience it proper, it's a very powerful emotion that can drive you to do things that you would normally do, right? And for some people, that's a scary thought, especially people that are really even keel, people who just go through life very, uh, uh, in a very like routine, monotone kind of way,
Yeah.
where something like love is a liability to them because they understand what it is, at least from a distance, because they refuse to experience it for themselves. Right? So they understand what it is from a distance and they see what it does to other people. And they're like, okay, you know what? I think I'm good without it. Right. And we talked about this last time. With love, you have to take the good with the bad. It can be really, really good. But because it can be so good, it can also be really, really painful, like really, really difficult. And it's, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Are the highs worth the lows? For a lot of us, we say yes. For some people, the answer is no. And that's why they don't really allow themselves to experience certain emotions like that because it's like, I don't know that I want to sign up for that. And I respect it, you know. I wouldn't say that I necessarily recommend it, but I respect it because I understand love can be a devastating thing. People have taken their lives over failed love, you know? So
Yeah.
it's a very powerful thing, and it can drive you to the highest of bliss and also the deepest of despair. You know, it's that duality that you have to be willing to accept and live with. And for some of us, we're able to deal with that better than others. Like God knows, I've been in relationships where I would experience both ends in a day, right? And it was like, this is not healthy for my heart. I need to find a way to manage this. And it's something that comes with time and practice, but you have to be willing to get hurt
Yeah.
first. You know, I feel like I've experienced quite a bit when it comes to that, but I refuse to even call myself any like an expert in any way, shape, or form about this because I feel like there's always something to learn. You know, life will always find a way to teach you something if you allow yourself to learn. You know, and with something like love, I've had it where sometimes after a relationship ended, I would be um I would be staring at my ceiling in the darkness for hours. Like I couldn't sleep. Right. Nothing in life has ever made me feel that way. I've had other deception, like disappointments in life,
Yeah.
but nothing has made me feel what love can make you feel sometimes. And um, it, I've heard things, I've experienced things, I've been told certain things where it's made me understand and appreciate not just love, but also how it manifests in people and respect it. Because, you know, something that nobody likes is rejection, right? No matter how familiar you are with the feeling, no matter how many rejections you've experienced in your life, rejection always sucks. It's
Yeah.
never fun. And um, I feel like depending on your experiences with rejection, you're able to take them a little bit better, right? And remember, going back to the very beginning of this episode, I said that love is an inherent feeling, right? And it's something that you can't really always necessarily dictate, And so I'll take a quick tangent and come back to this. Do you ever watch those silly reality TV shows?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Have you heard of Love is Blind by any chance?
I've heard of it. Yeah, never seen it.
Okay, so I've seen like a season or two of it. And the premise is this. It's two people. Um Actually they have a bunch of men and women that they have in those rooms they call pods, where they get to talk to each other, know about each other, but not see each other, right? Because the concept is they're trying to determine whether love is blind or not. So, meaning, can you fall in love with somebody's personality, and then when you see them in person, can their personality trump their physical appearance? If it's not your cup of tea, of course, right? Because
Yeah,
if it is, then it's a win-win, right? But the experiment gets interesting where you fell in love with the person on the inside, but then the packaging that it comes in is like, I don't know how I feel about this, right?
yeah,
So um I've seen it where two people connect, and once they start seeing each other, or like once they see each other and they start uh living together in the real world and seeing how each other is, it's like some of them they start to grow apart a little bit, because they find out that, okay, so yes, I did like who the person I met in the pods was, but at the same time, now I'm getting to see even more of who they are in the real world or in their natural habitat, and that's just not it, right? And so they fall out of love with that person. Now let me ask you this.
yeah,
Do you think the reverse is possible? So let's say you start talking with someone, and at first you're not really feeling it, but there's enough there that you're willing to be in a relationship with them. Do you think there is a way for that feeling of, I guess it's I, to change into, wow, I'm really starting to like this person,
yeah. Definitely. I've
right?
seen it happen. I've seen it happen. And like that's the thing with life. Anything's possible.
Hmm.
Anything is. I feel like that's why last year one of the movies that everybody connected with was Everything Everywhere All at Once, right? Like, and
Yeah.
why people are so tied to like this idea of the multiverse. Like the thing is, all of these possibilities are true. They can happen. Um, Now, whether they happen, of course, that's all up to you. That's all up to, I guess, quote unquote, destiny, what have you, which whatever you want to call it. You know that invisible metaphysical characteristics or trait that creates the appeal for you.
Hmm.
Um, but it's something that I definitely have seen happen. Like you just turn it around. Like, it,
So
yeah,
I agree with that, that it's possible. I've stopped believing in it or banking on it. Meaning that if I ever found myself in a situation where I'm dealing with someone who doesn't feel that kind of attraction to me, even if I try a little bit and I realize it's not there, I'll just end it. The reason is because I've been in a relationship before where we were together for a while. It was like a year and a half, almost 2 years. And at some point, it started feeling like it wasn't really going anywhere.
yeah,
And so I realized at that point that we needed to have the conversation, because it seemed like it was something that was on her mind, but she wasn't able to bring it up from fear that I might take it um, horribly.
yeah.
So I
The
asked
wrong
her, I
way.
said, I mean, not even just the wrong way, but it's like, how somebody can announce a bad news, but everybody takes it a little bit differently, where some people are like, okay, well, I guess it is what it is. And other people, they just really, really hit by the bad news. So I think that's what her concern was that I was gonna
Yeah,
get hit really, really hard. And And I did. She just, I never showed it to her. Um, but I asked her, I said, is there like how do you feel about me? Like what, you know, where's your head at? And throughout the conversation, she said this thing to me. She said that um I don't think that I'll ever be able to love you the way you love me. Right. It's like I like you a lot. Like I like who you are as a person. I mean, physically, there's nothing wrong. It's just that I don't feel that kind of attraction for you. Right. And I think if you have never heard those words, it's not something that you can understand because most people don't, like, usually they won't even tell you that. But the fact of hearing it made me truly understand what it means to see love as that inherent feeling. Because if you don't really like somebody, because remember, we just said, right? It's like some people you just really like them for who they are at your core. And when it's the opposite, if you really just don't like somebody or you just don't have that kind of attraction to them, that kind of feeling, I don't think there's anything they could ever do that will change that. And I feel like that is more realistic and happens a lot more than the other way around.
Yeah.
Where I feel like there's times where somebody will try to change things around a bit, and the other person, almost as a reward, will be like, low key, you haven't changed anything, but I've seen the amount of effort you put in and how much you love me. So I'll just stay, And maybe I'll even entertain you and say, oh yeah, I love you too, or to do certain things like that. When really it's more so I feel bad. I feel like I'd be a jerk or an asshole if I left after all the effort you've put in to turn things around. Right. So that's kind of how I look at it and where my head has been. So anytime now when I see people in those dynamics where I can clearly tell that one person is really just like, oh my goodness, I love you so much, and the other person is like, yeah, I'm don't think I'll ever be able to like you the same way. To me, that's a big no-no. To me, it's like I don't even think it's worth the effort of trying to change their mind because there probably is somebody out there that can match your energy, but you are, you know,
Not them.
forsaking that opportunity for the sake of being with somebody that you think you can change their mind.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's an interesting thought on love as an inherent feeling, like that. You know, you can't change that person and them not liking you inherently, and that kind of is one of the, I guess, clearest displays of love being an inherent feeling because there's an absence of that feeling towards you, you know?
exactly.
And no matter how you kind of try to show it, they're just not going to feel that. Yeah, so that's kind of a crazy not off the cuff, but you know what I mean. It's just a very clear and crazy example
Mhm.
that kind of, I guess, drives the point home.
It's kind of a heavy note to end on too, because it's like, man, it's a lot to chew on. But I
Yeah.
think honestly, this is a wonderful topic to delve into, and I feel like we could probably bring it around when we have more of a following, and if some people hear this and they feel like they want to share their opinion on anything we've said,
Oh
between the
yeah.
two of us, between this one and last one, that'd be really interesting, because I mean, we used to say this a lot. We don't say it as much because I feel like by this point people should understand this. This is all for the sake of discussion. Like we don't consider ourselves experts in anything. It's just, we kind of share our thoughts on these different concepts and ideas, and we always welcome different opinions. And if your opinion is wrong, we'll let you know.
It is what it is.
kind of an
Yeah.
oxymoron because it's an opinion. So technically, it can be wrong because it's
Yeah,
an opinion.
literally can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know how it is. Teddy just explained it to you. We're just two guys on the internet talking philosophy and anime. And though, you know, these last two episodes have been us kind of working through our thoughts and views on love and kind of what that word means to us and how we kind of process that in our lives and in our journeys, especially right now as we, you know, continue to age and gain more experience in life. Um, we've seen a lot, and we kind of just wanted to share our thoughts, and hopefully this was an interesting talk. Hopefully, the last one was as well, and we're gonna wrap it up here. You know, next week we're gonna have an awesome topic to get into, back on track with the anime and philosophy, as usual. But Teddy, before we head out, do you kind of have any last words for the people?
You know, just to my fellow men who are scared of love, don't be. I mean, don't underestimate what love can do to you, but don't be scared of it. It's I know it can be a lot. It can be a lot to deal with. It can be very daunting, but um the reward is well worth the trouble. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's for sure. And with that, we will be heading out. Thank you again for anybody who's watching now or after the fact. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you feel so inclined to do so. And we will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.